So, in today's session, we are going to talk about first what governance tokens are, and then we look into how to value such governance tokens. So, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. Just give me a second. So let's first start off with a very simple introduction to what governance tokens really are. So this is from my blog. You can check it out there also. So when we talk about governance tokens, we are talking about those kind of blockchain tokens that represent voting power within a DAO or a network or a protocol, right? So in some ways, you can consider this to be similar to equity shares. So when a company shares are listed in the stock exchange, what does it basically mean? That anybody who buys the shares gets ownership of the company, gets a right to vote in how the company is run, and of course they get a share in the profits and the dividend and everything else. Now, in some ways, governance tokens are like equity shares because they give you voting power. But because these are blockchain networks, you can't really own the network, but at least you're getting some kind of a voting power. Now, from a holder point of view, I hate using words like investors. So, if you're a crypto holder, the benefit of a governance token would be three. So, one is you get influence and control over the direction in which the platform is going to move. You get passive income. So, many of these governance tokens also allow for staking. You can also end up getting dividend fees, rewards, and other things. Then, if the project does well, naturally you can expect token appreciation, where you can expect the price to go up. Now, when we look at the cons part of it, obviously it's as volatile as any other crypto project can be. So when the whole market goes down, you'll usually see even governance token goes down, even though the project fundamentally is very strong. Usually Bitcoin can pull down the entire market and same way pull it up also. Then there's a concept called decision fatigue, where you get a little fed up of trying to be part of all the decisions that are being taken in the DAO. So definitely that can be something which can be quite irritating if you don't have the time to spend. In some countries, there are regulatory uncertainties around this also. So, if I look at it from an Indian perspective, there's no problem as such. But governance tokens are considered like any other VDA or virtual digital asset. Hence, the tax would be the flat 30%, which would be on a Bitcoin also. So, under Indian law, they do not get any special kind of preferences for governance tokens. And as of right now, I'm not aware of a single country in the world where governance tokens are banned or illegal or anything whatsoever. The key metrics, when we talk about valuation, of course, I'm going to go more into this, but some of the things to consider is voting power distribution. So you need to see whether the particular project is highly decentralized or not decentralized much and it's more centralized. If it is highly decentralized, then even someone with a larger number of tokens may not have that much voting power. So depending on which side you think, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Then we talk about proposal activity. So a high level of proposal activity. So if a lot of proposals are coming up for approvals and a lot of people are participating, that's actually a very good thing. So that's kind of showing us that it's a very healthy ecosystem. We also look at the token supply and the inflation. I'm going to talk more about that. And the platform usage and growth. You can also look at things like total value locked. Now, usually we use total value locked when we talk about public blockchains. But even for governance tokens, it actually makes a lot of sense to use that. Now, let's try to take it a little deeper. Give me a second. I'm going to share another page. Um, yeah. So when we look at the valuation, right? So when we talk about governance tokens, yeah. So first thing, of course, when we are entering into our valuator, we are entering the symbol. So I'm going to take an example of Uniswap, which is one of the most popular governance tokens and the largest by way of market cap also. So we enter the symbol UNI, we enter the name Uniswap, then we need to enter the 365-day fee and revenue. Now, I find a very good source for this information is Token Terminal. I don't know if you guys can see it on your screen. Yeah. Now you should be able to see Token Terminal on your screen. So Token Terminal has a lot of paid features also, but in for free also it gives you a lot of very good information. So when we go to the Uniswap page, so we can see that it's got some very unique features which you usually don't find on many of the other places, which is 30-day fees or the annualized fees. And then, of course, we also have revenue and annualized revenue. Now, in case of Uniswap, we only have the fee, not the revenue here. So we look at this 365-day fee. So, based on the last 30 days, it's giving us an estimate that over a 1 year period, what is the amount of fee that this platform actually earns. So that's kind of, what is the revenue that it is generating for different parts of the ecosystem. So we can see that the amount here is $572.2 million. So that is some information that we are now going to go back and we are going to add it here. By the way, in the meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, uh, please feel free to ask. So I'll take some of them now, or I'll maybe take them after the session. But keep typing them in. I'll be able to see all of them. So here I've entered this. So you have to be very careful when you enter it. Don't get the number of zeros wrong. So just remember, billion is a 10-digit figure. So this is 572 million. So it's going to be a 9-digit figure. So we just need to check that and make sure. Then we need to put in the circulating or maximum supply. Now this is up to you how you want to value. So there are two ways. One is you can value based on circulating supply, which basically means how many of these tokens are available in the market for common users. Maximum supply is what is the maximum number that can ever have. Now in some projects there is no maximum limit, like even in Ethereum there is no maximum limit. So you choose which of the two you want to put and you put that here. So it's about 577 million tokens, which is currently the circulating supply of UNI, and the max supply is about a billion. So I've entered that there. Now comes the interesting part where you have to take some subjective decisions, right? So first step, we look at the organization. So we need to grade the organization, or we need to grade the team which is in place, which could be the founders, the development team, the business team. Rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 signifies a highly skilled, respected team with strong prior experience, of course, relevant experience, strong credibility, and positive social media status. So, depending upon that, you are going to give it a rating between 0 to 10. Now, in my personal opinion, Uniswap here deserves a 9, but it's totally your call. Then we look at the history. So we are going to grade the history and liquidity of the token on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is going to signify strong growth in transaction volume, active users, trading volume. We have to look at whether the liquidity is adequate, whether there are multiple key pairs, trade pairs available. So, for example, if I'm based in India, I need an INR trade pair. So, can I buy UNI with INR? If I'm in the US, can I buy it with US dollars? Or can I buy it with Bitcoin, with ETH, with BNB? So, the more the trade pair is available, the better it is. And of course, is it listed on multiple exchanges? Now, ideally, in an ideal world, we should not have centralized exchanges and everything should happen on a DEX. But we don't live in an ideal world. We do use a lot of credible centralized exchanges. So, okay, is it listed on many of them? So, based on all that, I would again give it a score of 9 out of 10. Then we look at the algorithm. So, we look at the consensus mechanism and the tech platform and rate on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, if you're not a techie, obviously ask someone else to do this for you. But when we look at Uniswap, one of the first things that you'll realize, if you look at most of the other similar projects, they've actually forked the Uniswap code, and hundreds of projects have done that. So even if you don't know much about technology, obviously this must be a really solid tech platform, which is why so many projects are forking it. But if you go deeper in, you will realize that it's very, very solid. So here again, I give it a 9. And finally, we look at the social rating. So, what is the grade of the social engagement like? So, it has a large, vibrant, active, engaged, positive community with a fair share of fanatics. Now, when I say large, it doesn't really mean that every project has to have hundreds of millions of followers or even millions for that case. There could be a lot of niche projects. And again, just having millions of people out of which half are bots or least interested people doesn't value, which is why we look at the engagement. How active is this community? How positive is it about the project? Is it just full of people who want to sell the token and make some money and run away? Or is it people who are engaged for the long term? So, based on all the factors, again, here I give Uniswap a 9. Now, once we've entered all this information, we could just click on calculate valuation. So as per this model, it gives me a valuation of 446. And when I look at today's price right now, so it's about 5.55, right? So it kind of shows that as of today, I would say Uniswap is still a little overvalued. Now, it doesn't mean it's a bad project. It just means that maybe the token price logically should be a little cheaper than what it is right now. But again, this is not a sure shot method because see, crypto valuation is a very, very new field. I mean, crypto itself is barely a decade old. So we're still developing models, but I'll explain to you what this model is and why I use it. So when I look at it here, first let me go down to show you how the mathematical formula works. So the first step that we do is we calculate the base. Now that is calculated by taking the revenue and multiplying it by a number which I call as a multiplier. For governance tokens, I've given it a value of 5. So this is based on at least 2-3 years of data. So I've taken data from CoinMarketCap and many other places and then tried to see what is the usual values that are being followed over the last few years for various similar protocols. So when I look at governance tokens, I came to the conclusion 5 is a pretty good multiplier to take into effect. So what we're basically doing is taking the revenue, annual revenue, multiplying it by 5. Then we calculate the ROHS grade. Now in this we took this organization, history, algorithm and social. Each was out of 10, so total out of 40. So we add that. So in this case, as you saw, we did 9999 for all. So automatically that becomes 36 by 40. So that would be the grade. Then we calculate the projected market cap, which is based into this figure that we've just calculated. And finally, we do the price by taking the market cap and dividing it by the maximum supply or circulating supply, whichever one we have entered. So based on all that, we get this base here. This is about 2.86 billion. We get the grade of 0.9. We get the projected market cap of about 2.5 billion and we get a price of 4.46, which is currently lower than what the market value is. But of course, if I was interested in being part of the governance of the project, this value really doesn't make much of a difference to me because I want to continue to have exercise some kind of a voting power. Then suppose we wanted to look that as of right now, if we wanted to see that the grade, which right now we have given 0.9, suppose the grade we had given was 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3, depending upon that, what would be the projections if we were bullish, neutral or bearish? So these three curves, so suppose you say, okay, I don't want to re-enter all the data, but here itself, I'm going to see that, okay, you know what, no, maybe Uniswap is not just 0.9, it's brilliant, it's 1. So then maybe I'd say, okay, if I'm bullish and I feel it deserves a 1.0 grade, then I would say the value should be 5.94 and currently it's 5.55, which means it still has some scope to go up. But if I was neutral, I would say 495. If I was bearish, I would say, okay, 3.96 is a good value. And of course, again, depends on where on this scale your personal feeling comes in about the grade of the organization, history, and all that. So this is one method that I use and I've been using it for quite some time. And let me just stop sharing my screen. So I've been using this for quite some time now, and that's the reason last year on 31st of March, I told everybody, okay, you know what? I think the market is getting overvalued, and I was exiting everything, and I advised people to exit because based on my models, I had started to see that almost every token was overvalued. So today we spoke about governance tokens. I'll do similar sessions in the next few weeks talking about the other kinds. So public blockchain natives like ETH or cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or privacy enhanced cryptocurrencies like Monero. All of them, we follow a different method. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Now, if you guys have questions, I'm going to take some of them. Let's start going through them. Uh, with the rising recession, how can a fresher grab a remote blockchain developer job? Ayush, that's a very good question. So even though it's not very relevant to governance tokens, I'll still try to take this. So yeah, your questions come up here. So look at blockchain development, right? I'll be very honest with you. I believe in the long run, there will be no concept like a blockchain developer. Every developer will know a little bit of blockchain. So a lot of us, so I'm a blockchain architect, right? So I've done development and I've done all this. So what I've realized is when blockchain was fairly new, say maybe 2014, 15, at that time we had to do a lot of hard coding. I mean, a lot of hard work to do coding. But today when we look at it, right? So a lot of API services are available. So logically, any regular developer would learn those APIs and be able to do blockchain development also. So that's another thing that you've got to keep in mind, that would there be a demand and a need for people who just do blockchain development? That's one thing to remember. So I've just announced a free online course called Blockchain Engineering, where I'm going deeper into, just give me a second. So sorry, I had to take a short listen. So the way I look at it moving forward, almost every developer is going to know it. So keep that in mind when you are looking. And blockchain engineering is where we talk about the nodes and other things. That is, I think, an area which is really going to grow, because you need people to handle the entire blockchain infrastructure, right? I hope that answers your question. Let me look at another one. So I have a question. I was an intern at a company that was basically creating portfolios like index funds by combining and investing in those. Okay, I need to see the. Okay, I don't have your full question. So somebody wants to know about the Arbitrum valuation. So we'll do that in another session. I'll definitely do Arbitrum also. Let's see another one. Basically, okay. So Prakash's question is whether a company which does, creating portfolios and index funds, whether that's a good use case. Okay, I'll be very honest. No, I don't think that's a good use case. So, look, crypto is not a very highly matured financial market the way the stock exchanges are, right? Or even the way gold and foreign exchange and all these are. It's just not like that. So I think it's a little too early for us to be taking concepts from the stock market like index funds and mutual funds and all those things and just applying it here. No, crypto projects are not really built to become investment avenues. They're built for a completely different reason. You look at Bitcoins, why it's about being a peer to peer electronic cash or a currency which you can use, right? For payments. It's not supposed to be an investment mechanism. But the moment we start making these funds and investing into it, I think we're going on the wrong track. So, no, I don't think it's a good use case. Of course, you feel free to disagree with what I'm saying. Uh, the website I'm using is learntokens.org, where I've created this blockchain token evaluator. So that was one of the questions here. I have another question. How can blockchain governance be effectively implemented in a world where governments are yet to fully embrace this technology? Yeah, very good question. So, to be fair, let's give the governments also some time. And usually, the governments have a problem when you do illegal stuff with it, right? So, when you are using, say, a Monero for illegal payments, say drugs and other things, or you're using a Bitcoin for money laundering, obviously, governments are going to have a problem with it. But I haven't really seen governments having problems with, let's say, a governance token which is not used for illegal purposes, right? So you've got to see what is the use case and then look at what the government thinks about it. And yes, give it some time. I mean, like I said, crypto is fairly new. I expect the next blockchain bull run to start in 2024, which is the reason I've started off these series again. I mean, I had stopped these series for the last year and a half, and I felt that okay, now we're heading for a bearish market. But now I think we're heading for a very positive 2024. And I think a lot of good regulatory proposals are coming through. Uh, okay, any crypto course for beginners? Sure, that's a good question. So when you say crypto course, I'm presuming you're not talking about becoming a developer or anything. You're talking about learning how to invest in it. So I wouldn't really recommend any course for it. I would say whichever projects you're bullish upon, first go and read up their websites. A white paper may be too complex in many cases. At least read up the website and understand the use case. The use case should kind of make sense to you. Then you could just simply follow some blogs or streamers. So I write a blog called DeFi uh, blog. Hold on, let me just. It's on crypto, DeFi, and all. I'm just sharing the URL here. So, like I'm sharing this particular article, which I've written about governance tokens. So it's on the blog, so you can subscribe to it, and I regularly keep posting stuff. So that'll help you to learn quite a bit. I'm not really aware of any useful course that you should join on this. I think you could just learn this on your own. But start thinking for yourself. Just because 10 people say a project is good, please don't blindly follow anyone. 99% of the people get it wrong almost 99% of the time. Right? I'll be very honest with you. So don't blindly trust people on this. Are there any other questions that you guys have? Okay. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. So I hope you understood, and do please follow me. I'll be doing a lot more of such sessions over the next few weeks also. I have a WhatsApp group that you could also join up on, and I run a lot of things like the Future Money quiz, where we do a live quiz and then you actually get to win prizes and all that. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys as part of that ecosystem. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, hold on. I have one last question that I'll take. Does Hyperledger is just pushed by corporates against public blockchain, or is it really a thing for public welfare? That's a very good question. So I'm not a big fan of Hyperledger. I mean, see, Hyperledger is a huge project by the Linux Foundation. I think what you're talking about specifically is Hyperledger Fabric, which is one of the solutions there. So they've got a lot of very interesting projects, and Hyperledger Fabric is one of them. Well, see, at the end of the day, you've got to be very honest. Most of the things that a corporate pushes you is never for public welfare because they are for-profit companies. They have to make money at the end of the day. Other than maybe government agencies, nobody does anything for public welfare. So it's a tough question to answer. But if you go through the Hyperledger side, you'll see there are a lot of very good projects. They're all free. They're all open source, and I'm sure they'll be very interesting. If you guys want me to do a live stream around Hyperledger, drop me a comment. Maybe we'll do that also someday. Yeah. Uh, Tarun has an interesting question. Let me take that up. What's the landscape of real world asset tokenization? Yeah, that's a very good question. Give me a second. I'm just putting the WhatsApp link before I continue on that. Uh, Hold on. Okay, I don't have. Give me a second to get the link. I forgot to copy it before. If I can get it, I'll show it to you now. Just give me 1 second. Hmm. Okay, no, I haven't copied the link. I'll just put this as a comment to the post later. So, what you were talking about real world. So, when we talk about real world tokenization, so the project that I work for, which is called the hybrid finance blockchain, our use case is purely real world asset tokenization. So, we can divide that into, so on the one hand, we have real estate, which is the biggest use case. I mean, it's hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of real estate in the world. Good use case, although we don't focus on that. We focus on something called the copyright licenses. So whether it is licenses of movies, books, software, and such other intellectual property, that's what we are focusing on. So that's another thing. That's about a $3 trillion industry in itself. Art is another one. We're talking about physical art, which is being tokenized. We're talking about physical collectibles, including things like sneakers, watches, postage stamps, currency notes. All those things also get tokenized. So these are some of the things which are being tokenized, and absolutely, it's amazing. There's also equity shares of startups which are being tokenized. So I think it's the best way forward. And I strongly believe that the blockchain bull run of 2024 is going to be built upon tokenization of real world assets. And I'll give you a simple reason. Today, when we look at the entire crypto market, it's barely $1 trillion. Tokenization potential itself is hundreds of trillions. So just imagine if even 1% of that comes in, we are doubling the blockchain or the crypto market cap. So which is why I'm extremely bullish on that. I'll put all these links as comments below in the video itself. So you can have a look at this recording on LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter. Yeah. I'll see you guys very soon for the next session. Take care. Bye bye.